Time to run up the middle and spin around because we got to drop back and catch the huddle. Welcome to our last installment of the Huddle for this season. Coming to you live from the chilly UCO campus. Today I'm your host, Demetrius Wright. With me, as always, my partners in crime, Rick Lemon and Dylan Schwartz. We'll hear later from our correspondent, Austin Luttrell, later on in the show. But first and foremost, how are you guys doing?
I'm great, D. Good to be here. I'm ready to get to the action.
Well, on that note, let's get started. UCO taking the 10-hour bus ride this week all the way up to St. Louis to take on Lindenwood. Let's see how they did.
UCO went up to Lindenwood for their final road trip of the year, and the defense was alive and rocking and setting the tone in this game. Coach Martin opened up the playbook, double end around reverse to Marquez Clark, and you cannot give him that much daylight or he will make you pay, taking this one in for the score. Lindenwood would tack on a touchdown of their own, though, right before halftime to cut the UCO lead to 4. But in the second half, that was a whole different ball game. UCO's defense was disruptive, making many plays, giving Chaz Stollard opportunities to put up more points for the Broncos. This drive out of the Wildcat formation, play action fake, and he would punch it in, taking it himself with his legs. Stollard showing he could do it with his arm as well. Pump fake out to the left side, throwing it up to Marquez Clark, who comes down with a terrific catch. Logan Orso would get an interception over the Lindenwood quarterback, making a couple guys miss, and he would take this one in for the pick six from 42 yards out, giving UCO the commanding lead. Lindenwood not completely out of it yet, finding a receiver over the middle, making a couple UCO defenders miss, taking into red zone territory when the UCO Broncos forced their 5th turnover of the second half. TJ Ecker would get a little play time in this one, giving it to Greg Johnson, who would take it in for UCO's final score of the game, and that was enough to give the Broncos the win.
Guys, UCO rolls in this one, including a second half dominating performance over Lindenwood, giving them a 45-13 win. Rick, UCO's on offense has gained 350 yards or more for the last 3 out of 4 games on offense. What do you contribute that offensive power to?
I mean, honestly, for this offense, it just comes down to the balance. They have a great deep threat in Marquez Clark. They've got a great running game in Jake Gandera. They have an awesome slot receiver in C. Hood. And they have a real X factor when it comes to scrambling around when Chaz Stollard gets to it.
D, like we said in this one, 5 turnovers against Lindenwood in the second half alone. They've really seemed to come up with big turnovers at key times in games. What's impressed you most about the defense?
Well, for me, it's got to be those interceptions. Forcing the 4 interceptions in a game is phenomenal, and doing 1.5 even better, winning the turnover battle. That just really wins a game. And that decides how the Chosen have been all season. It's their defense that has really been strong and coming through, and all the offense had to do was just look pretty and score. All right. We have to take a break, but coming up up on the show, all the action from last week of the regular season for our 3 high schools. You're watching The Huddle.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Acceptable? Yes. Now there are more items you can place in your Edmond recycling bin, like newspapers, magazines, phone books, and junk mail. Edmond Recycles. It's what we do. Changing your view is what we want to do.
Welcome back to the Huddle. We had a big final week of regular season for our high school teams, including Broken Arrow traveling down the Turner Turnpike for a second week in a row, this time to face the Bulldogs at Watland Stadium.
High school football action on Friday night with Santa Fe traveling down to Norman to take on the Tigers. Santa Fe coming off a loss last week to Broken Arrow where they got shown up by a pair of running backs that just ran them right over. Coach seems to be sending a message with his game plan this game, however, giving the ball to his running backs 12 times in a row on the opening drive. That's right, you heard me right, 12 times. They ran the ball over, left, right, around, and through Norman's defense all the way to the goal line and in for the score. Oh, and in case of you forgotten, Santa Fe's also got a pretty good quarterback in Keaton Torrey, throwing the ball out and screen pass to Darren Williams, and he shows why he's the number one option on Santa Fe's offense, making Norman defenders miss and then turning on the Jets, going all the way in for the score. In the second head of Santa Fe's two-headed running monster, running back Jerome Bryson gets a great hole from his offensive line, makes a Norman defender miss, and then just turns on the Jets, putting the Wolves up 21-0 in the first quarter. Santa Fe would end up losing the ground battle 248 yards to 238, but you wouldn't think that watching this quarter. The Norman players are stunned, coach trying to get them back in the game. In case you need another example of just how good Keaton Torrey is, scrambling around in the pocket, throwing a prayer off the front foot, and he still makes the catch. Caden Mendenhall in for the score. Torrey was so good they end up taking him out of the game, putting the sophomore Drew Rasmussen in, giving the ball off to Darren Williams here, who shows off his wheels, making defenders miss, and then just walking it into the end zone. Norman's band still cheering, but Santa Fe ends up winning this one 49-28.
So Santa Fe ends up winning this one, but Norman really did put more of a fight than what you might have expected. Santa Fe ended up scoring only one touchdown in the second half. They ended up going from 42 points to only 49 points at the end of the game. Dylan, this type of game is kind of the goal for a quarterback, though. Santa Fe not only ended up taking out their first string and putting in their second string, but taking out their second string at the end of the game and putting up their third string.
Well, that's nice because whenever you have a commanding lead like that, it's nice to get some of your teammates who have been practicing hard all week with you, get them some playing time on Friday night too. But, I mean, that was our last game of the regular season as well. If I was Keaton Torrey, I'd be kind of disappointed, well, because now he doesn't get another opportunity to play until next fall. Mm-hmm. So, in that regards, I'd be a little disappointed, but it is nice to get some of those other guys some playing time.
Mm-hmm. And D, you've got to be proud of those offensive linemen. They put up a serious blocking performance to make for a great running game.
Yeah, because I like it when the big heavies get to moving people around, and it's really good because it comes to the offensive line. That's the key to every football team is the offensive line. You open the doors for them pretty boys to get their running yards and get their names in the paper and let all that talent come through. So for me, I just love it when the offensive line dominates because that's what I am, old offensive lineman, and dominating performance. Now, really with a dominating performance, I want to talk about Memorial and Broken Arrow because Broken Arrow, they have a running back in the offense right there, and that is a good team right there. Yeah. And it was just really dominating for them. Their ground game, they only had 5 passes during the whole game. Mm-hmm. And for me, I don't know, Memorial has a good running game, but they really forgot about their true score.
Yeah, they seem to really shy away from the running game.
They did. I mean, you got to give it up to Broken Arrow defensively. They were able to corral Warren Wand a little bit, but at the same time, that first drive of the game, Memorial went down in about 4 straight passing plays and threw a touchdown pass that first drive. So they should have, you know what I mean, they should have mixed in Wand a little more.
To me, they forgot about their little magic man, Warren Wand. They forgot about him somehow. I know he's only 5'5", but somehow they forgot where they put the little dude. Mm-hmm. He's their biggest scoring weapon, and they forgot about him, and they just went on Majerski's arm. Now, Majerski's the most athletic quarterback in Edmond right now, but you can't forget about your 1-2 punch. You can only jab if you're, you need both punches.
Exactly. They need that running game to establish that play-action pass, and that's really the element that they lacked against Broken Arrow.
I want to see the scores of the game. There you go. Look at the scores right there. Broken Arrow versus Memorial. It was 42-14, and they just dominated them, and there was nothing Memorial could do. Once you only went with one hand, there was nothing they could do.
See, the thing is, though, Memorial tried rushing the ball for over 20 times and only gained 6 positive yards on offense. Majerski threw for over 300 yards, but if they are shutting down your running game to that extent, then you're like you said, it takes away half your offense.
Right. Okay. Now, here's another one talking about half of offense. It's North. Now let's get into North. Them boys been hurt all year long, and matter of fact, with North, they went up to Tulsa Union, and not only are they halfway hurt and they're in the second and third string quarterback, they're also they don't look good versus Union. Well, not too many teams do look good against Union.
Well, they're the only team to finish subpar, under 500 out of all the Edmond schools. So that, if that doesn't hurt your pride a little bit, I don't know what does.
Let's do the scores of North and see what happened. Okay, on the scores, I wonder, do we have any video of that North game? I don't think we do. But let's go to talk about the North game. 51-14, and look at these. First downs, they had 21. North only had 6. Rushing yards, 31 versus 109. Santa Fe was 45 of 245. Passing for North is 102 for 239. You know, the stats don't lie, because we're getting close to playoff time, and the stats don't lie. And just like it says behind me that it's election time, it's almost time to get elected into the playoffs. So when we come back, we will talk more about what's coming up, the playoff picture, and who's in and who's out. Coming up after this.
Plenty of room to swing a rope. Plenty of heart and plenty of hope. Oklahoma, where the river sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat can sure smell sweet. Where the wind comes right behind the rain. Oklahoma every night. My honey lemon eye. Sit alone and talk and watch ya hop. We know we belong to the land, and the land we belong to is grand. We're only saying you're doing fine, Oklahoma. Oklahoma! O-K-L-A-H-O-M-A, Oklahoma. Okay!
Oklahoma, come see for yourself.
Welcome back to the Huddle. If you're just tuning into the show, you've shown up at a great time. It's time for the top hits of the week.
The last show of the season, we have the top 7 hits of the week coming up right here. Starting with Santa Fe at Norman. Norman trying to run the ball and get stuffed by a stout Santa Fe defense. Memorial didn't have very much luck when Broken Arrow came into town, but their defense swarming and sacks Austin Gilmore. Back to Santa Fe at Norman. Jerome Bryson trying to run around the outside, gets gang tackled, picked up, and put down. For number 4, we go to UCO at Lindenwood. Lindenwood's quarterback sees the blitz but can't get out of the way and gets taken down. Number 3, and back to Memorial. Gilmore trying to pass out to Devin Cruz and gets laid out by a Bulldog. For number 2, Norman with the onside kick. Destin Ortiz catches it and pays for it. And then your hit of the week, courtesy of the UCO defense. Lindenwood tries a swing pass and Levante Douglas sniffs it out. And there you have it, the top 7 hits of the week.
There we go, guys. My final installment, top hits of the week. D, see anything you like?
I did like when the Lindenwood threw that bubble screen and Levante came over there and quished.
Levante's not the biggest guy either, so that's a big hit from not the biggest guy on the team. But I'll tell you which one really caught my eye is some of those sacks on the Lindenwood quarterback. I used to go against those defensive guys, those UCO defenders every day, and so trust me, it was not very pleasant memories, so I can relate to that Lindenwood quarterback.
All right, very true, guys. Now we're going to throw it over to our special correspondent, Austin Luttrell, for another edition of Literally Speaking. Austin?
Thanks, Rick. Throughout this season, I have given players shout-outs for their impressive performances on the field, but there is one position I have seemed to ignore all year. And I finally got an opportunity to give some love to those big guys on the offensive line. Thanks to Landon Chappell and his 22-yard run, as you can see here, he picks up the fumble and goes all the way down into Lindenwood territory. That's a big play from an offensive lineman just to know to pick up the ball. And as you can see from this angle, the Lindenwood defense, they wanted nothing of the 6-foot, 295-pound junior as he runs. This was a heck of a play, And it's good to give some love to Landon Chapel and some offensive linemen for a change. That's my final edition of Literally Speaking. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Austin. That's good stuff. Now, if you thought that was a good play there by offensive lineman Landon Chapel, you're really going to like some of the throws by our quarterbacks this week in another installment of Dylan's Dimes.
Up first on Dylan's Dimes, we got Broken Arrow quarterback Austin Gilmore getting flushed out to the left. Throwing across his body, ball gets tipped by the Memorial defender, but still lands in his receiver's hands. Then we got Santa Fe QB Keaton Torrey up next, rifling one out to the right side. Great ball, putting it right into his receiver's chest. Then here's Chaz Stollard zipping it into his tight end on third down to get the first down. Couple dimes Friday night by Mick Morarsky. First this one, finding his receiver over the middle. Takes it for a big gain. That set up the very next play. Morarsky drops back, zips one over the middle, finding Jordan Reed, who does the rest, taking it in for the score. Memorial struggled passing the ball Friday night, besides on this drive alone. Here we got Keaton Torrey dropping back on this one, flushing to his right, stops his feet, putting it up for only his receiver to grab it, and he comes down with it for the score. And of course, we got your Dylan Dime of the week. We got Chaz Stollard on the pump fake, throwing it up to Marquez Clark, and touchdown. Dylan Dimes of the week.
And there are your final Dylan Dimes of the season, guys. Any of them catch your attention?
You know, my favorite was Marquez because I like Marquez and the pump fake, and he's a good kid.
That's good stuff there.
Marquez going up for that catch was great, but I still say that Keaton Torrey throw was absolutely phenomenal. He got flushed out of the pocket and was still able to set his feet, make the throw, and get it right over the defender for a score.
He put that in a spot where only his guy can catch it, too. That's what impressed me most about that one.
He's the most accurate of the quarterbacks here in the Edmond area. He's the most accurate, and he has the strongest arm.
I agree with you on that.
Now, Morarsky may have the most talent and be the most athletic because he can run or throw, but Keaton Torrey, he's got an arm on him.
He's got a good future.
Now, those quarterbacks were something else, but what about the guys catching the ball? I sat down with a special one-on-one with one of those receivers. We sat down with UCO's deep threat, Marquez Clark. This is a special edition with Demetrius Wright. I'm interviewing Marquez Clark. MC, how you doing today? Good to see you, brother.
Nice to have you.
Thank you for coming out.
No problem.
What is it like being the only player that has played all 4 of your years with Coach Bobek?
Oh, it's a blessing, man. I say it's a blessing. We've had our ups and downs, but through the whole process, he taught me way more things outside of football, but being a man and life, things in general. You know, I really couldn't ask for a better coach than that.
How is this season different than last year?
Oh, it feel good. You know, going out my senior year on a winning side, you know, the team bonding and the brotherhood that we got on the team, it feels good to know that you're going out on your senior year in the last of your collegiate career, you know, on the upper hand.
Tell me about that brotherhood, that bond that the players have.
Oh, it's amazing. You know, Coach Bobek get us together, like on Friday nights, on home games, you know, to have that team bonding. We have a team movie, you know, just joke around, have fun, laugh and play around with each other. And that builds us up to when we go out on Saturdays to trust in the player next to you.
All right. You've been watching Special Edition with Demetrius Wright. Thank you. That was a great interview, I must say so, because I was there. I did it. It's been interesting sitting down with the different UCO players and just seeing what kind of people they are and how they are off the field as well as on the field. Rick, what do you think about them?
I mean, we've really had some great interviews all season, and it seemed to have finally come full circle. We've gotten defensive, we've got special teams, now we've gotten some offensive threats. We've really covered the full team.
And Dylan, what about you? Because you know these guys intimately because these are your brothers. You played with them last year.
Yeah, MC was one I was really looking forward to getting in the studio. He's a very likable guy on campus, very recognizable guy on campus, and he really is a very humble young man for the amount of talent and the amount of things that he has accomplished in his collegiate career. So he walks around and he holds himself with a very prideful mentality, and I really do like MC a lot as a football player.
Yeah. Coming up after the break, we're going to crown our champion of predictions for the season and break down a huge MIAA showdown happening this weekend at Watland when Pittsburgh State comes into town to face the Chos. You're watching The Huddle.
So who's going to do what? I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Okay, thanks for tuning in with the Huddle and staying with us. We are getting to, let's see where we're at on our graphics and see where we're at on the big board. It looks like Dylan happens to be 19-11. Where'd you come from? Because you were in last place, and now all of a sudden
Started doing my homework.
And now in Austin, you're at 23-7, and Rick, you're at 21-9. And what the Nikes? I didn't fail to the bottom. That seems to be a problem here. Something's going on. Somebody's calculations seem to be off. But as we're coming to the end, I want to get into, Rick, how do you feel about, I got a question for each one of you, so get your thinking caps on. Rick, what do you think about offensive play that we've seen this season?
I mean, honestly, the offense, like I've been saying this entire show, especially for UCO, has been absolutely fantastic. All of our teams have great offensive weapons, but UCO especially has been able to come up on top.
Okay, Dylan, for you, since you're a quarterback and you used to face defenses, how do you see the defenses that we've seen this year?
Well, out of our high school teams that we were able to cover, I'd say the best defensive team that we've got to see consistently all year, I would say, was Santa Fe. Santa Fe made a lot of plays defensively that really makes you look at some of the athletes they have on that side of the ball, and they have really some promising players for their future. And, of course, the UCO defense, I mean, they finished second to last in the nation last year. So you go from that and to see the strides that they've made in just one season, I mean, that speaks for itself, the future that we have here for the Broncos.
Yeah. Now, Austin, what about the X Factor? What do you think about just overall the season?
Well, the X factor, at least for this UCO game coming up, is going to be UCO's pass rush, because Pittsburgh State's got the best passing offense in the MIAA, and UCO ranks near the bottom in sacks. They're going to have to get after him and help the cover team out and get him to the ground.
Yep. True. Okay, with that, when we come back, all right, that is all the time we have for our show this week. This is the final installment of The Huddle. And thank you for tuning in. Rick, you got anything?
No.
Dylan, you got anything?
No, sir.
Austin?
No, that's it.
All right, somehow your numbers keep getting inflated and you keep cheating and my numbers keep falling. But that's just what I'm thinking. Thanks for tuning into The Huddle. Catch you next fall.